Hello students, this is Dr. Sneha Sagar from Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, LJ Institute of Pharmacy. I welcome you all in the MOOC lecture series initiated by LJ Institute of Pharmacy. So today in this session we will continue with our previous topic, that is carbohydrate metabolism. In that we are going to discuss about HMP shunt, glycogen metabolism and some hormonal regulation of carbohydrate metabolism. So we'll start with our topic, hexose monophosphate shunt. It is also known as HMP shunt, or we can call it as pentose phosphate pathway or phosphogluconate pathway. So HMP shunt is an alternative pathway to the glycolysis and TCA cycle for the oxidation of glucose, which is generally anabolic in nature, and it is basically useful for the biosynthesis of NADPH and various pentoses. The enzymes of this HMP shunt are generally located in the cytosol. So HMP shunt is basically divided into two different phases, oxidative phase and non-oxidative phase. So starting with the HMP shunt oxidative phase reaction, glucose 6-phosphate is converted into 6-phosphogluconolactone. It utilizes NAD plus and it can form NADPH with the enzyme glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. Further, it can produce 6-phosphogluconate with the enzyme gluconolactone hydrolase. Afterwards, again, NADPH producing step is there. It forms ribulose 5-phosphate with the enzyme phosphogluconate dehydrogenase. Next reaction is conversion of ribulose 5-phosphate into xylulose 5-phosphate and ribose 5-phosphate, a type of apomerization and isomerization reaction. Further, it reacts with transketolase and forms pseudohapulose 7-phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Again, it reacts with transaldolase and can form erythrose 4-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate. And lastly, xylulose 5-phosphate and erythrose 5-phosphate can form glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate. So ultimately we can get different phosphatases, and majorly the 5-carbon chain length phosphatases are widely useful. So NADPH produced by this HMP shunt is very important for the biosynthetic reactions, and pentoses produced during this HMP shunt is utilized for synthesis of nucleic acids like DNA, RNA and many nucleotides like ATP, NAD+, FAD and coenzyme A. Our next topic is glycogen metabolism, which is related to glycogenesis and glycogenolysis. So if we talk about glycogenesis, it is the synthesis of glycogen from the glucose. It generally takes place in the cytosol and it requires ATP, UTP and glucose. So for the glycogenesis, starting point is the glucose. Glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate with the enzyme glucokinase. Here, the one molecule of ATP is utilized. Next, glucose 6-phosphate is converted into glucose 1-phosphate with the enzyme phosphoglucomutase. Afterwards, UTP is utilized and UDP glucose phosphorylase enzyme is responsible for the formation of UDP glucose. This UDP glucose is responsible for the primer formation, and that primer is formed by using enzyme glycogen initiator synthase. So this step is important step for glycogen primer synthesis. In this particular step, glycogenin, a protein which is having amino acid tyrosine, is responsible for the formation of the bond between the glucose and the hydroxyl group of the tyrosine. Then further, 13 molecules of UDP glucose is added with glycogen synthase. So we can get the alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond formation. Afterwards, glucosyl alpha 4,6 transferase enzyme is responsible for formation of the alpha 1,6 glycosidic bond. Afterwards, elongation of the glycogen synthesis by forming alpha 1,4 and alpha 1,6 glycosidic bonds finally yields glycogen. Now talking about glycogenolysis, it is the degradation of the glycogen and forming the glucose molecule. So we can say that glycogenolysis is not the complete reversal pathway of the glycogenesis. Here the enzyme utilized for glycogenolysis are different than that of the glycogenesis. So from this glycogen, first step is formation of the limit dextrin. With the enzyme glycogen phosphorylase, it is responsible for the formation of the limit dextrin, which is having 4 glucose unit attached to the central glucose, and in right hand side, left hand side, and at the branching point we have 4 different glucose unit attached in case of the limit dextrin. So after the formation of limit dextrin, the next step is the debranching of the enzyme, which is done by the transferase activity. So we can get the straight chain glycogen product. Afterwards, another the debranching enzyme alpha 1,6 glucosidase can cause the removal of the free glucose level and straight chain glycogen formation. It further phosphorylate and form glucose 1 phosphate, and next it can form glucose 6 phosphate. It can undergo into glycolysis cycle also, and from glucose 6 phosphate we can get the glucose. So this is about the glycogenolysis step for glycogen to the glucose. So these are the glycogen storage diseases occur because of the defects in some enzymes which is involved in glycogenesis or glycogenolysis, like von Gerg disease. It occurs because of the glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme defect, and it can cause lactic acidemia as well as hypoglycemia. Then we have POMS disease. It is occur because of the alpha 1,4 glucosidase defects. Cory's disease responsible for the defects in the amylo 1,6 glucosidase enzyme, and Anderson disease is basically the defects in the branching enzyme, that is glycosyl 4,6 transferase enzyme. This all diseases are rare diseases. We have McArdle's disease also, which is a defect occurs in the muscle glycogen phosphorylase. Hirsch disease is the liver glycogen phosphorylase defect, and Taurus disease is basically occur because of the phosphofructokinase uh, enzyme defect. So this all diseases are associated with muscle or liver and the enzymes responsible for the glycogenesis or the glycogenolysis. Our next topic is hormonal regulation of blood glucose level and the diabetes. So before starting with the hormonal regulation of blood glucose, we'll quickly go through some terminologies like hyperglycemia, hypoglycemia, and glycosuria. So hyperglycemia is nothing but the increase in the blood glucose level above the normal level. Now, what is the normal level of blood glucose level? In fasting condition, it should be between 70 to 100 mg per deciliter, and the non-fasting blood glucose level should be 120 to 140 mg per deciliter. So if patient have decrease in the blood glucose level, then we can say the patient is having hypoglycemia, and the excretion of glucose in urine takes place, then it is known as glycosuria. So this diagram represents overview of blood glucose homeostasis. So a normal blood glucose level is generally regulated by the presence of different hormones, and we have some sources of blood glucose as well as we have some utilization pathway of blood glucose. So, dietary carbohydrates, glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis, these are the sources of the blood glucose level. Whereas glycolysis, PCA cycle, glycogenesis, and synthesis of some monosaccharides, amino sugars, HMP shunt, and synthesis of fat. These are the utilization pathway of the blood glucose. So here we have some hormones which is responsible for blood glucose homeostasis. First hormone is insulin. which is produced by the beta cells of the islets of Langerhans and which can lowers the blood glucose. Rest all other hormones are responsible for elevation in the blood glucose level. Like glucagon, it elevates blood glucose by enhances the gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis. Next we have epinephrine. It is secreted by the adrenal medulla which is also responsible for increase in the blood glucose level by increase in the glycogenolysis. Thyroxine is also a thyroid hormone which elevates the blood glucose level by increasing the glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. Next is the glucocorticoids, which is produced from the adrenal cortex, which is also responsible for increase in the blood glucose by increase in the gluconeogenesis formation. Next, we have growth hormone and adrenocorticotropic hormone, that is ACTH, which is responsible for elevation of blood glucose and it is secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. So all these hormones except insulin can increases the blood glucose level. So this diagram represents summary of the hormones. Hypoglycemic effect can be caused by insulin. Hyperglycemic effects can be caused by glucagon, epinephrine, thyroxine, glucocorticoids, growth hormone and ACTH. So insulin can increase glucose uptake, it can increase glycolysis, it can increase HMP shunt and it can decrease gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis. Whereas rest all the hormones increases gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis. So if our body cannot regulate the hormones, we can have hypoglycemic effect as well as hyperglycemic effect. In case of hypoglycemia, generally blood glucose level is lesser than 45 mg per deciliter and patient can have various symptoms like headache, anxiety, confusion, sweating, seizures, slurred speech and coma also. So if our body increases the blood glucose level, then that condition is known as diabetes mellitus, which is a metabolic disease and it can lead to several other long-term complications. Generally, diabetes mellitus is divided into two different types, insulin dependent diabetes mellitus and non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So, in insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, generally it is juvenile onset diabetes or also known as type 1 diabetes, means it generally occurs in childhood. The factor for this IDDM is genetic or because of the autoimmune diseases in which the total deficiency of insulin is seen because of the destruction of the beta cells of the pancreas. So generally insulin therapy is used as a treatment for the IDDM. So next is the non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, also known as type 2 diabetes or adult onset diabetes. It generally occurs in adult because of some factors like because of genetic factors, environmental factors or lifestyle factors. Like obesity can cause the diabetes. So in this particular diabetes, insulin is there but its amount is not sufficient to decrease the hyperglycemia. Means patient have resistance to insulin or body doesn't produce enough insulin. So generally anti-diabetic drugs are used for the treatment of the non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So this is about the diabetes mellitus which occur due to the imbalance in the hormonal secretion. So from this topics it can be asked like describe HMP shunt and add a note on its significance. Explain glycogenolysis with metabolic reaction. Write a note on glycogen storage diseases and describe role of hormones in blood glucose homeostasis. So these are the reference books. Principles of Biochemistry by Leninger and Biochemistry by Satyanarayan and Chakrapani. Thank you for watching this video. Please do subscribe our YouTube channel Pharma Ignite. Thank you.